Welcome to Kindergarten 6 Weeks Curriculum Preview. Let's take a look at the expectations. We are expecting them to be at a level C. I'll let you take a look at the different kind of reading expectations. You can see that on your overview, is that we really want them applying gap stopper, making words and changing words by sound, changing the sounds in words, initial consonants, blends, and final consonants, and making sure they really get those high frequency words down, and responding to oral questions with 3 kinds of thinking. With Level C, here's your curriculum, your continuum of literacy learning. Here are the descriptors for a Level C in level text, and here are the characteristics of a reader at that level. Inside the continuum, you'll find on page 241 a more detailed look at what does a C look like. I really encourage you to use that resource in using your guided reading and knowing where your kids are. Let's look at word study. Phonics, that we are looking at words, common blends at the beginning of CCVC words. Once again, having those high frequency words. We're looking at words that name actions, directions, positions, and locations, and then those vocabulary words. So let's take a look at what some of your lessons might be. If you look at your English word study, you see that you are going to be focusing on the it and the ought and that rhyme pattern, and really working hard and really making sure by the first 6 weeks that kids have that rhyme pattern down. With their sight words, in the overview you're going to find a really good thing called Find Your Partner. It's a great activity, so I encourage you to look at that in the overview. And then with phonics, you're going to be looking at those words that have blends, and the common blends that we're looking at is SH, FL, GL, SK, and ST. In your academic vocabulary, here are your words. Big idea, you're looking at the big idea of all cross genres. You're asking them to blend. You're looking at folk tales from other cultures, descriptive words. You're looking at fairy tales and folk tales, and the word sequence. So let's take a look at your lead standard, which is figure 19C. We're wanting them to read with comprehension and fluency. They're asked to monitor and adjust their comprehension. And then in figure 19E, we want them to retell or act out important events in the story. With theme and genre, with fables, we want them to connect it to a personal experience. And then also we want them to recognize recurring phrases and characters in traditional fairy tales, folk tales of various cultures. We want them to recite simple points and respond by identifying rhyming words. In fiction, retell a main event from the story read aloud. And then with procedural text, is following a recipe. So let's take a look at what some of the focus lessons might be. Remember how our message is alive. We're examining patterns. So using your 3 kinds of thinking, modeling with text, see your overview. It shows you kind of what you would do with 3 kinds of thinking along all of the different genres, like identifying the big idea in the folk tale, retelling a main idea, the reoccurring phrases, making inferences and drawing conclusions. And all of those really go with 3 kinds of thinking. I know that you probably already have done the primary toolkit, book 1 and comprehension toolkit, but this is just so important about them really using and monitoring their comprehension. That's what figure 19C is all about. So if you've already done those lessons, use the guide lessons and rinse and repeat with different literature. You will notice that just in time this time, I have really honed in on reading A to Z and the resources we have there. I found this book by searching by the standard. This is figure 19E, retelling or acting out important events in a story. You can project this book, and then there's a lesson plan. It's really a guided reading lesson, but you can see how you can adjust it to really doing a good focus lesson with that, and then taking it on into the guided reading as well. In your genres, I found a great thing. I was looking at, I once again searched for the standards and looking at the big idea, this one, the ant and the grasshopper, and there is a 5-day lesson plan that goes with that. There's a projectable that you can project these up, and just some great ideas, and I know you'll add your twist to it, so it's great. Then with recurring phrases for various cultures, I just searched by fairy tales, and then I came up with these. Now these are higher level books, but you can actually share reading with them, having them reoccur, and then take it back into the books that they can read, like, the three bears and all that, and find reoccurring phrases as well. This one for procedural text, I found it once again by just searching the standards. This is a recipe. It's under visual. I went in and clicked in 11A, and then brought up these visual devices, and you can see it's K1. It has all kinds. This is a recipe, and you can have projectables. So it's a great resource for projectables. But once again, use STEM scopes and just recipes that kids have. With poetry, you wanted to use 3 kinds of thinking with them. But the whole thing is you're wanting them to hear the rhyme in poetry, which you've done so much already of. This is a poem that we have in the curriculum on the overview, but then once again, your Poetry Friday anthologies. Also, in Reading A to Z, you can type in poetry and get all kinds of poems. So there's some great resources there for you. In your guided reading, I just can't encourage you enough to use your guided reading plan and really make that easier for you, because it kind of sketches out what you're going to be doing, and then using those resources, that leveled library, once again, using Reading A to Z with the level books, and then putting those kids on their pathway in RAS Plus, and using that data to help you. In writing, we want them at a real strong stage 4. You can see we want them to generate ideas while writing and drawing. We want to draw pictures that match written text. We want them consistently forming their letters, write using lowercase letters with increasing consistency, and spell those sight words without hesitation, and applying that letter sound knowledge to produce the writing that we need. So your lead standard is expected to hear and record the dominant sounds of words and phrases or simple sentences. So we see that's what kindergartners are doing right now, putting down those sounds that they hear. So in the writing process, we want them to self-select ideas for writing based on their own experiences. In developing, we want them to write a few sentences to describe a class or personal experience. In revision, we want them to extend original ideas with additional information. That's where Gap Stopper comes in, helping them to stretch it out. And then they're expected routinely to proofread for those missing or duplicate words. So the genres we have, we want them to write short poems this time. We want them to draw pictures and write captions about learning experiences across the contents. We want them to be using descriptive words, showing how authors use those, and then once again forming those upper and lowercase letters legibly. So as you look at the focus lessons, you want to focus on different text structures. So read a different book with a text structure, narrative and informational, using your standing on the shoulders, and then write a brief text about a familiar topic using this text structure. And so really encouraging them to look at patterns that authors use and then put that into their writing as well. Use the Gap Stopper routine to make simple revisions and really to go back, reread what you wrote, what would they want to know more, and doing that. And then with poetry, encouraging them to use Gap Stopper to create a class poem. I love that we say in the overview to keep the emphasis on playing around with the sounds of words to create a pleasant rhythm. In the overview, you see how a poem might look at kindergarten. I love the way they do and sound out words. And you also have your kids' poems, teaching kindergartners to love writing poetry from Reggie Routman. That's a great thing for helping them. And you see how this goes hand in hand with them with poetry. Learning rhymes, so putting down the sounds they hear and putting down rhyming words, so that reading and writing go hand in hand together. So when you're independently conferencing your writing with that clipboard, walking around, what are you monitoring for? You're writing to see if they're using gap stoppers to create more ideas. So some folks have said to me they're just not extending it, so go back to Gap Stopper and teach them how to add more, and using that word wall to check the accurate spelling of words and adding detail to a picture. Once again, use those digital learning specialists. They are so amazing, and they can do great things with your kids for reading responses and getting them excited. This is a link to a movie that they've used iMovie. So I hope this curriculum preview has helped you. Just encourage you to go look at the Just in Time, because Reading A to Z has so many great resources for you to use. So I hope your 5th 6 weeks is a great one.